Hey y'all, so today I'm going to be talking about the civil rights movement and the movie Selma and how they coincide together and how the themes of the movie are still relevant to today. And yeah, Selma is a movie about how the voting rights was to be, you know, how Martin Luther King fought for the voting rights and spoke to the president, and how like basically the campaigning to receive the voting rights that they needed in 1965. In the movie, they really showed the real down and dirty of what really happened. In this movie, they really talked about how MLK, you know, was cheating on his wife, how like his marriage was literally crumbling as it was happening, and how the FBI was the cause of that, like how the FBI actually exposed him. Like it also showed like the fight, like what it took for them to for the march to begin, to how they called people from all over. Like it showed how like TV was really important. So yeah, the movie talks about like having like faith, fear. Like it shows how scared people were for African Americans to gain voting rights, because it literally took so much effort just for them to be able to put a check mark or X on someone's name. The movie even starts off with Oprah. I don't know her character's name. Oprah registering to vote, and how they were making it so difficult for African Americans to vote. Like he asked her like to recite the preamble, but then once he saw that she knew the preamble, he tried to make the questions harder, like asking her who the senators of the state are, or who the governors of the state are, and then asking her to list all of them. Ridiculous stuff. In the beginning, once we first started this section, we took a voting test, like a literacy test, and we all failed ridiculously. And that just shows you how hard it was for African Americans to gain voting rights, and how hard people were making it just to gain voting rights, just to vote, you know, simple American things. Throughout the movie, we see Martin Luther King talking to the president, who was LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, and fighting for the voting rights and trying to like help African Americans gain voting rights, and trying to persuade him to sign. All he had to do, literally, he told him all he had to do was sign a piece of paper, and then he literally told him all he had to do was start signing a piece of paper. And LBJ was like, well, it was more than that, it's more than that, Mr. King. So it was just like he was making it harder for himself, because LBJ knew that if he was to enforce certain states and all the states to have equal voting rights, he knew that certain votes for him wasn't going to work out. He knew that if he was to try to campaign again to be president, it wouldn't be good for him, because Southerners wouldn't vote for him. So yeah. And that happened with like majority of all presidents, even with Kennedy. Like before the Voting Rights Act, even with Kennedy literally was not trying to help them. They were like trying to dodge them. Even Eisenhower, like it's crazy how like these presidents were fully aware of what was happening, but wasn't trying to jump into the drama because they didn't want to be in it. When it comes to the presidency and LBJ, he was fearful. One of the major themes of the movie, he was fearful. He was scared that things like that was going to happen. He was scared that he wasn't going to get reelected. He was scared that people were going to start attacking him and coming for him. And even though he did it because he knew it was right, which most presidents wouldn't have done, because they were scared. Most, like Eisenhower and Kennedy, they were scared. Well, Kennedy was shot, so that's awkward. In the movie, we see how the FBI and how like people were really trying to bring MLK, Martin Luther King, I don't know why I say MLK, trying to bring Martin Luther King down. Like they were trying to ruin his relationship with his wife by exposing his cheating and such. The FBI knew, like the government knew that if they were to break them apart, everything would crumble. You know what I mean? So like that's probably why they tried to. And it showed the cost of leadership. It showed how he was never home. He barely was there to see his children. How he like spent half his days traveling, preaching, protesting, advocating for this civil rights movement, because he was the leader. It showed how like it wasn't just all peaches and cream. It wasn't easy. It was hard.
They're gonna ruin me so they can ruin this movement. They all.
It even goes with fear, like how fearful the government was of him being too up there, too powerful, that to the way that they were trying to find ways to break him down. Yeah, so in the film they showed the price of being a leader. Like they really made it obvious. Like I feel like the directors and the writers of the movies were really trying to make it obvious that like he was going through personal things too. They wasn't just trying to make him seem like he wasn't having any problems at home. He wasn't going through anything at home. He was going through personal things. All right, and to wrap it all up, like even though all these things like are set stone, like we have voting rights for African Americans, for colored people, we have desegregated schools. Like anybody, I could go to any school I want to go to without being looked upon because of my race. Racism is still alive to today, and all this that happened in the movie are still relevant today. Like it's still ways that certain races are impacted and compressed in a way. But like being a leader is not hard, and everything will be tested. They'll find ways to bring you down, and you can see that even for President Obama, how they were trying to find ways to prove that he wasn't an American citizen because he was just too perfect. Like that's just something that will happen forever. And to end it all off, racism is bad. Okay? All right, bye.
Not long, because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
Yes, sir.
How long? Not long.
Not long.
Because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Yes, sir.
He's trampling out the village where the grapes of wrath were stored.
Yes, sir.
Yes. He's loosed the fateful lightning of his tongue.